All right, we're all set. Let's do this. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to my stream. I'm Pierre, your host. I hope you're all doing okay. After all, today is Friday. It's the weekend. That's pretty awesome. So my friends, let's do what we always do. Let's go over to the computer and let's check out what we did yesterday, and then we'll tackle our day from there. So yesterday, what did we do? It followed the day where we did some splattering on our background. So we put the first coat of the blue. We followed that with the outline of our masked bandit that we turn into devils. And then eventually we filled in the green of the last little circle. So that is basically what we did yesterday. And today what we're going to do is that we're going to continue by putting some shadowing on our background colors, the blue, the green. We're going to put in hopefully one, maybe two coats on the nuclear mask guy. And then it's going to be a short stream. It's Friday, you know, I'm my own boss. It's a good day to go home early. So anyways, let's not waste any time. I think the first thing I'm going to do is put the yellow on my guys first, because I would like to put two coats. I'm going to bring the fan a little closer so it will blow and dry faster, so I can put a second coat of yellow. I'm going to try to do two yellows today, the light yellow and then the ochre yellow on top of that. And then we're going to add some shadowing on these guys as well. So let me get my yellow, and I'm going to use this one here, which is really my favorite yellow, known as Azo Yellow Medium. I just love it. It's a beautiful yellow. It's basically the only yellow I have. I have several others like this lemon yellow, which is nice and bright and electric, and I never use it. Never use it. Just two, and I love electric colors, man. My colors are nice and vivid, but that somehow, I don't like it all that much. So anyways, let's get to work. Grab my knife. Let's get a bunch of this yellow together here. Clean off the palette. And I'm going to put, even though I could put 4 coats of this yellow, it doesn't cover that well. Even though I don't dilute it too much with water, it never stays that opaque where I can just put 1 coat. Impossible. And believe me, I've been trying for 30 years. So no big deal. We will put 2 coats on if we have to. 3 if, no, not 3. Forget it. No way I'm going to put 3 coats on. But 2 should do the job. So, got this together. Let me just grab a little brush that we'll be using. And I'm going to need a brush where I can, there we go, this one here, because it has a nice pointed end to it, which I will need to be kind of precise. So let's just mix some water because this is very thick. And I'm just going to work this out here a little bit. Just blend in the water so that this paint will spread on the canvas nicely, even though it's not really canvas, it's kind of expensive paper. Usually I paint on canvas, but my gallery wanted me to do some smaller formats, like my poster size formats, because some of their clients just don't have large walls. So whatever, no big deal. So this looks nice and creamy and thick, and I think I'll go with that. So let's get our cameras together. I guess I'll just bring camera number 1 over a little closer here. There we go. I'll move it off to the side so I'm not standing in front of it. I guess I can move it over like this and just zoom in a little bit. Just like that. Very good. And I'll move my fan closer as well so we can get that extra boost Okay, so that looks pretty good. And somehow I'm going to bring my chair over because I'm going to need to sit down to be comfortable to paint. Now, is this going to be too low? A little bit, but it'll do the trick. So let's go over to camera number 1 then. And let's put the first coat down. So I'm going to start with the horns here. There we go. I mean, I'll definitely need 2 coats. I can see right through it, my brush strokes from the white paint. Go. I'm going to outline my eyeball here. There we go. All right. There will be a black outline, and then of course I have my beige ochre yellow to go afterwards. So we're just trying to get this first coat done here. There we go. The ochre yellow covers very well the lighter yellow, so I can just go over it later. When we put that first coat of ochre, I'm going to let this lighter yellow dry first though. And for this part, I could use a larger brush, I must admit, but then again, we're in no rush, even though it is Friday. Okay, so part 1 done. Let's move over one a little bit. And I'll just move the camera over just a whisker as well. Just like that. And let's continue. Very good. My paint is already thickened. We are going through our hot spell right now. It is so toasty. Well, let me wait. Let me start off by doing. Oh. Just grab a little bit of water. There we go. Work this for a few seconds. Get my paint again to be a little bit more user-friendly. There we go. So today is the beginning, the first day of England's Premier League in soccer and football, with Arsenal's first game tonight. Arsenal is one of my three favorite teams. Of course, being Parisian, the PSG has to be one of them. We just acquired Messi, world's greatest football player. That's going to be an interesting season. And then my third one is Messi's old team of Barcelona. So those three teams, which all three of them sucked last year. Well, anyways. We'll see what happens this year. I have absolutely no hopes for the team of Arsenal. They have been going downhill for the last 10 years and obviously have no intentions of trying to be in the four best teams of England anymore. They've completely given up. Poor management, poor investments, poor staff behind the scenes. I won't even mention the owner, which is Stan Kroenke, which doesn't give a shit about football or soccer. For those who don't know what football is. Now, it's going to be a drag watching them this year. Now, I know artists are not supposed to like sports, the opium of the people. When you have raising a son and my daughter, actually, we always liked sports in our family. I played a lot of sports as a teenager, as an adult as well, even though I partied very, very hard, being part of that psychedelic generation, the 70s and 60s. It didn't stop me from taking care of my body. Always believed in that nice balance of mind and body. So I did destroy the mind. I would keep it together through the body work. Anyways. Why am I talking about this? Sports and stuff? I should be talking about poetry and art. Oh well. So there we go. Got this first coat done. We'll let the fan do its thing. I'll move this chair out of the way. And so next, let's do the shadowing of this cobalt blue. I'm going to add a little bit of black, make it a little bit darker, and then a little bit lighter in some spots. So let me just grab my cobalt, which is right here from yesterday. That's pretty cool. I'm not going to need that much because I don't have that much of a surface to paint. And actually, I'm even going to put some back in the jar here, as not to waste any. Then I'm going to just add a little bit of black paint to make it darker. There we go, right here. Not going to need much of that, so I'm just going to put it on the edge right there. And I'm very carefully going to blend this in. I know on the camera that when there's a lot of contrast, it looks great. But in reality, when you're doing shadowing, I like it to be subtle. I don't want it to stick out too much, even though it looks great on the camera. But unfortunately, the clients who come into the gallery, they look at it in real life, not through the lens of a camera. So it only makes sense to do it that way. Now, let me find the paintbrush that I need. So this is my kind of go-to guy for years. So I'm going to use him again. Let it soak for a few seconds. And actually, this one is a little bit bigger and it's my other go-to guy. So I'll use one for the green, which is a smaller circle. And I'll put him aside for that. And then I'll use this little bit wider one for the wider. So I am just going to add a teensy beensy weensy itsy bitsy piece of black paint to make this a little bit darker. Just like that. So let me get camera number 1 over here on the side. I'll zoom in on this circle so you can see exactly what I'm doing. It is going to be discreet. So let's try it right here. So I have to keep in mind that when this paint dries, it will get darker as well. That seems to be just perfect. Now, of course, with the reflection of the light and the window, it's a little shiny. That will dissipate when it dries in a few seconds. And actually what I'm doing here is space. That's what I'm going for. Outer space. Yeah. Okay, so there we go. As you can see, very quick. I'll bring this for the next one, which we will do exactly the same thing. Just tap, tap, tap. Just like that. And then for the lighter blue, I think I'll just use a little bit of cerulean blue, I guess. That usually does the trick. Dark right in here. Okay, so, and then number 3. Just like that. Tap, 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 tap. All right. And a little bit right here. How's that look? Very good. All right. So let's pull this back. Switch over here. I'll move the camera back here for our first circle again. As I'll get that ready right now. Okay. Now I'm going to grab just a little bit of the cerulean blue, which should be right here. Yes, it is. Okay, very good. I'm going to add just a little bit to the same palette. Again, don't need that much, because I'm going to do exactly the same thing, just a little bit of tapping, keeping some of the dark blue in as well, because we don't want this to be too light. So let me just mix it all with the darker cerulean blue. So what's this going to get? Let me rinse off the brush, get off the excess water. This looks like it's going to do the trick. Let's see. Let's go back to camera number 1. We'll test this out together, and then if something's not right, well, we'll just fix it. Okay, it looks right, but I want to get rid of the excess paint that's on my brush. There we go. You see, it's just, I want it to be very discreet. Just like that. All right. How's that look? Let me just step back for a second. I guess that looks pretty good. Pretty good. It's darkening as it's drying. That's why I'm kind of hesitating here for a second. Not really sure if it's going to be light enough. Maybe on this next one, I'll make it just a little bit lighter. So let's bring this over to the second circle and see how this comes along. When it's wet like this, it looks just fine. It's as it dries that I'm worried about, since paint tends to darken as it dries. Yeah, that looks a little bit lighter. A little bit lighter. Let's zoom into this third one. And I'm going to add just a tad more cerulean to my palette. I mean, just a tad. There we go. Just to make sure that this third one stays light as well. How's that look? That looks pretty, almost too light. So we'll blend in a little bit of the cobalt with it. And hopefully we'll find that happy middle line. Let's check this out. That looks fine as I dab it on. Like I mentioned, it's always when it dries that I'm worried. But this looks like it's way lighter than the other two, so I think I won't have any problems with this one. It's kind of what I wanted. Just like that. Because I can already see on the second circle here, as you can tell, it's already drying very, very dark right here and here. So I might have to go back with that lighter cerulean blue on top of this, which is what I'm going to do right now. I'd rather do this twice to get it right than screw it up first time. And I will go back to our first circle and make that a little bit lighter as well. So I'll do that right now. It did dry very dark and it barely, I told you I wanted it to be very discreet, but I do want to see it also. So there's discrete and there's non-existent. There. Much better. Much better. There we go. Okay. I'll pull that back as I come over here. And I'm going to do the same thing with the green circles. I can tell that our light yellow is already kind of dry, which is pretty cool, which means I can put the cobalt, not the cobalt, what am I talking about? The beige yellow. And then the second coat of the lighter yellow. I'm just thinking, should I do that now? Or should I do that now? Or should I wait a few seconds and do the green first? It's a good question. So I think that was a smart, it was worth taking 10 seconds to think about that. I am going to put this, the first coat of the beige paint. First, ochre yellow, is this it? Ochre yellow, very good. I'm going to do that like that. It's going to need 2 coats as well. At least it'll give it time to dry for me to put that second coat of the lighter yellow. There we go. So I said that, let me get a brush. There we go. And just like before, I'm going to just blend it with some water, just so it flows on the canvas better, on the painting, I should say. Keep forgetting it's paper. There we go. Let me just blend this in. And you know what? I'm going to add a little more, because even though I don't have that much surface to paint, I want to make sure I have plenty of paint. There we go. So let's continue blending all this in. Adding just a tad of water. There we go. Okay, so this looks pretty good. And I am just going to go over here to my kitchen area and get a bar stool, because my chair was a little too low to sit on, and I think this is going to be just like the perfect height right there. So I'm going to do that. Let me move this camera back to where we can see what we're going to be doing in a few seconds. I'll zoom in a little bit, just like that. Again, this is just going to be the first coat. I'm going to have to put two coats of this guy on, no matter what. So. And though it seems to cover very nicely, it will still need 2 coats. So I'm just going to do the first coat, and I'll do all the little details that make all the difference afterwards. Just like that. There we go. Okay. Again, just the first coat. Let's not forget the little horns here. All right. Let's move this over for number 2 and number 3. I guess I can actually move the camera just a little bit closer like that. And we'll get both of those bad boys in one shot. There we go. So how do I do this? I guess I'll just go around. There we go. Very good. Shadowing right in here. Okay. Okay, there's number 2. There we go. Just about going to have enough paint. Looks like tight squeeze. Should have just enough though. Oops, get this here. Oh. Again, the second coat is really the coat that makes all the difference. There we go. shadowing here in the neck. Very good. And our last little horn here. Okay, nice and horny. Hee hee hee. Go. Okay, Operation First Coat done. Okay, so let me just step back for a second, take a little look, see where we're at. Okay, so that's cool because the light ceruleum really, it just blends in very nicely. Nothing sticks out too much. And when we add all the little planets and stuff, you won't even notice the background, which is exactly what we want. So let's try to do the same thing with the green. Now this green, I know that if I add white to make it lighter, white paint, it changes this green completely. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to grab another type of green, a much lighter green, which I will darken a little bit, and try that. I'm not really sure how it's going to work out, but let's try it and figure that out. Again, I don't have that much of a surface to cover. So I'm going to go with the dark first, and then maybe this green will be used as a lighter green. I'm not sure. We'll figure this one out by eyeballing it, see what pleases us or not. So what do I need? A little bit of black paint, I guess, to make this darker. And I have some from my blue. I'll just use that. I'm really going to use just a teensy weensy drop. So first I'm going to just mix, see what texture this green is, and it's already very liquid. I'm not going to need that much either. This is just going to be dabbed on like we did before, just to give it some shading. So I don't really need that much. Let me get rid of this excess water on my brush. There we go. And let me grab just a tad, and I mean like a pinhead's worth of black, that I'll move to one side with this green here. And blend that in and see what this darker green looks like. And just because it's a different green, I think even the darker green is going to look lighter on that really dark green. So I don't think I have to worry about it too much. Maybe even add a half a pinhead more, because the black does tend to overwhelm, as you can imagine. So we're getting a nice dark green here, which is maybe what I should have used for the background instead of this green, but what the heck. Let's just try this, something new. So let's get camera number one ready and zoomed in on that green circle and see where we're at, see what it's going to look like. It is going to look different, that's for sure. This is going to be the lighter of the greens. And I think I'm going to, well, I guess I can start with the light. Let's continue. I like starting with the darker and using the light last. But in this case, I guess we'll do it the other way around. Again, keeping in mind that it'll darken as it dries, hopefully. But that doesn't look too bad, I guess. We'll see in a few seconds when it's dry. I'll just pop over here. There we go. Get on this other green. Just tap away. Just like that. How's that look? Okay, right? Okay. So let's move on up to green circle number 3. What that brings us. I have all weekend to dry. There we go. Don't need to put in too much. So we got those 3 guys going. I'm going to add some darker green though. Now, how am I going to do that? I have no idea. Maybe I should use the original color that I had and just add a little dark, little black to that. That seems to make sense somehow. So let me just grab another palette. Or I don't need that much. I can use just the cover. Where's my knife? There you are. And I'll just use the same palette I used a few seconds ago. Oops, it's way too much, but it doesn't matter. There we go. Clean off the knife, of course. So how's everything going here on the streaming? No problem. Okay, no problems. We like that. So let's grab our green paintbrush here. And we're going to blend in a little bit of that black paint, just a pinhead again, and see what this does. Now that was a big pinhead, so let me rinse this off. Oh, I don't want to screw this part up, so. And if I screw up the background, maybe small or large, for me the whole painting is screwed up. That's why the backgrounds are so important to me. Because if I love the background, I basically can't screw up the rest, even if I run out of ideas or whatever. That's how important that background is for me. But so this doesn't seem to want to darken that much. Let me add another pinhead's worth. blend it in. The green seems to overwhelm the black, which is something I have never seen before. Not that much. Let me add a big amount of black paint there and see what happens now. There we go. And still, the green paint seems to overwhelm the black. I am really surprised. Maybe I should do a little tryout first, see really what's going on. Yeah, I guess it is getting darker. I don't think I should do too much. So let's try this. Let's go back here and let's try this out for good. Even for me, it's hard to tell with the glare of the window. For some reason, it doesn't look like it's that much darker. I don't know what the hell is going on with this paint. Let's continue, and hopefully we'll be happily surprised when it dries. I guess it does look slightly darker, so that's okay. That's what we wanted, right? We said at the beginning we wanted discrete shadowing, so I guess that's what it's giving us, discrete shadowing. Just going to continue with what I have on the brush. I'm not going to load it up again. I'll just squeeze down more. Get the paint out. Oh. Turn it around just like that. To be honest, I think this is going to look quite nice. And then I'm going to go on this third one. Way over here. Let me bring the camera way over so it doesn't have any glare. That would be nice if we could avoid that glare. Just a few taps here, just to give it a hint of a third color. And it is, as it dries, gets quite a bit darker, so that's going to look great. All right. All right, I guess I can be happy with that. Let me pull these three guys back here. At least pull the camera back here. So I can put the second coat of this lighter yellow. So we're going to zoom in like that one more time. As I get my yellow palette back out, my brush is right there. Do I have enough yellow? I don't know if I have enough. I think I do, but I'm just going to add a drop of water. Try to keep this as thick as possible so it stays nice and opaque. I'm going to put the second coat on, and then we might have to wait till Monday to see if we need another coat. I hate putting 3 coats on. I've done it before, but basically I never could see the difference. But that doesn't mean it didn't need it or whatnot. So anyways, so let me get back over here. I'm going to just move this camera over just a little bit to make sure I'm not in the way. There we go. So let's go for the second coat of this Azo yellow medium. I'm putting this on really thick, but until it dries, you won't really tell. There we go. just like with the other colors, when it dries, it gets darker. And that's what we want, because we want to hide basically all the paintbrush strokes. That's what I don't like. And it does it once it dries. Now, not drying just by touching it, drying in depth. And for that, you basically have to wait 12 hours, at least for that. So I am putting this on really thick with the hopes that when it dries, it will dry nice and opaque like. Just gonna go right by the nose again here. Yep, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. I'm sure when it's dry, it's gonna be just the way it should be. So let me just bring this camera over one more shot here. There we go. And I am going to have to just add a little bit of yellow. I'm definitely not going to have enough to put it all nice and thick for the two last faces. There, that should do it. Ready or not, here I come. All right. So let me just step back for one split second. Yes, okay. Okay. Just going to work this yellow with a little bit of water because it is awfully thick. Get that nice creamy texture as though it was some sort of a nice pudding. There we go. All right, so this looks pretty good. Where am I at? I'm at here, head number 2. Let's go back to camera number 1. There we go, nice and thick. Thick as a brick. There we go. There's no way I could put it on any thicker unless I use the knife. This will do the trick, no doubt. There we go. When it dries, it is such a beautiful yellow. Love this. Azo medium yellow. There we go. That's way thick. That's thick, all right. And get thicker than that. Very good. Very good. I'll move on over to here. And we'll just get this last coat of yellow on. Boy, that is thick. All right. Little nostrils here. I'm not going to be able to put the second coat of the ochre light brown yellow today because I need the yellow, the light yellow, the azo yellow to be completely dry for the second coat because I'm going to go on top of that, on top of the lighter yellow. But for me to do that, it has to be totally dry. So we are going to have to wait till Monday for that. And since it's Friday, who cares? Let's call it quits. The advantage of being your own boss. Okay, the final strokes. Let's not get sloppy. There we go. Very good. There, man, that is thick. It'll dry just beautifully. And even with the fan, I'm afraid, yep, this yellow paint will not dry quick enough for me to continue with the ochre yellow. But at least we got quite a bit done today. On Monday, we'll finish our nuclear guy, at least the second coat of the ochre. Then we'll do the details of this. I'll be ready for that, our little planets, and we can put the first coat of the heart and sperms on the green. No, we're getting very close to the end of this painting. That's pretty cool. What am I doing? I don't know. So let's take a quick look. I'll zoom in a little bit like that. Like that, I'll have some material for when I edit my little movie in a few minutes. So that's the view. There you go, from camera number 2. And I will just move back camera number 1 so we can have a view of that as well. Let me pull that up and zoom in a little bit. There we go. Always nice to have 2 points of view. So that's number 2, and then there's the view from camera number 1. Give it time, a few seconds, because I'm going to be putting all this in fast motion. And there you have it. So my friends, I hope you've enjoyed today's session of painting. I hope you all have an awesome, wonderful weekend, that you'll join me on Monday. We'll continue this, these 3 little posters, 3 little paintings. Anyway, so like usual, I'm going to wish you a great weekend. I'm going to leave you with my schedule like usual, and by saying, ciao mes amis.